Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Red Earaches. The original OP is FewSun935 and r/Am I the Asshole? Posted April 27th, 2026. Am I the asshole for being upset that my family didn't get invited to my sister-in-law's baby shower? My brother and his wife are expecting their first baby in August. They live a few towns over from where me and the rest of the family lives, so we don't see them often. We're not super close by any means and typically talk to each other in our family group chat. We're a pretty low-pressure, low-effort family. Most of our family was unable to attend their gender reveal party because it was 2 hours away, but we extended our congratulations for them via text. We saw the pictures on Facebook, and I will say, it did kind of hurt, seeing only my sister-in-law's family celebrating, and we wish they had found a closer place so we could attend too. It felt like we were intentionally being excluded because of the distance. This ended up causing a pretty big argument with my brother and our family because we felt like they weren't being mindful of us at all. I'll admit we said some pretty harsh things to them and pushed some of the blame onto my sister-in-law, which, looking back, it was wrong to do so. Both my mom and I have felt like they only want her family to be involved with her pregnancy and want us to stay on the sidelines, which is heartbreaking for my mom. She just wants to be a good grandma, and I really want to be a good aunt. Since our argument, nobody has really heard from my brother or my sister-in-law, and we've tried to give them some space. On Saturday, my brother-in-law sent a screenshot in the group chat of a baby shower that was had, and all of us were totally shocked and confused. None of us got an invitation to the shower, and we didn't even know they were having one. All of my sister-in-law's family was there as well as their friends. Everyone except for us. We're all so incredibly hurt and disgusted that they wouldn't even acknowledge us or let us know that something like this was happening. Again, it was almost 2 hours away, which means they didn't even think about the distance for us, and seems like they intentionally excluded us once again. We obviously called them out on it and demanded to know why we didn't get any sort of heads up or anything. And honestly, their reaction seemed pretty pathetic. They don't see anything wrong with not inviting us or including us, and tried to bring up the argument from a few months ago. We already apologized multiple times, and that argument is still being thrown in our face. My mom is absolutely devastated that they're using their pregnancy and their baby as a weapon against us, and not allowing any of us to be included. Am I the asshole for not wanting anything to do with them or their baby now? Editor's note: commenters accuse OP of selfish behavior by her family. They say that obviously sister-in-law didn't plan the baby shower around their family. Her baby shower was planned around her location because she is the pregnant one. User NoMeOK4136 comments, "You're the asshole. You made it clear that 2 hours is much too far for your low-effort family to travel. You then decided the best choice was to tell the pregnant lady celebrating that she couldn't have it at her house and should instead totally focus on you. When that didn't happen, you pitched a fit and behaved badly. Then you gave them radio silence. Why on earth would they invite you to anything? You acted terribly. No one is using anything as a weapon. They just don't want to be around rude narcissists. Who can blame them?" OP's comments include: 1. It's not fair to us though. They didn't give us the option to come or not. Why is my entire family supposed to be left out or pushed to the side? 2. I'm upset because we didn't even get the option to be included, and then we found out through social media. We apologized for arguing and missing the gender reveal, and they aren't giving us the opportunity to be included in their baby's life. 3. How is it being pushy to want to be included in your sibling's pregnancy? Are we not allowed to want to see the baby and have a relationship, a bond? Are we not allowed to take pictures with them and have those memories too? Why is it okay for her family to get to be involved and us get put on the back burner? 4. We apologized for what we said and admitted we were just hurt because we felt like we were being excluded. 5. It's their responsibility to have a relationship with us though, and if they want us to have a relationship with their baby, then they should put in the work. When asked why OP's family didn't make the 2-hour drive to the gender reveal, OP says, "My mom and brother don't have cars, so they can't drive anywhere. I'm unemployed, so I don't have the financial means to drop what I'm doing and spend a bunch on gas for one day. All our family events are here in our town, so my brother/sister-in-law always comes here. I'll admit we don't reach out to people unless they reach out first, which is where the low effort stems from. When asked on how Opie's family was planning on helping their brother and sister-in-law, Opie says, "We were planning on coming up a few days after the baby was born. Just because we couldn't come to a party or haven't been openly expressive about our excitement doesn't mean we won't care when the baby is here." When asked if Opie's family even talks to her sister-in-law, Opie says, "You're right, we don't talk to her. If she wants to talk, then she should be the one reaching out. Are we supposed to be up her ass all the time because she wants attention?" Opie's sister-in-law responds to the post. "Hi everyone, I'm the pregnant sister-in-law that this is about. Someone sent me this post and I immediately recognized the situation to be my own, as well as the username. I'm horrified that this escalated to Reddit for some kind of desperate validation. A few things I'd like to address from the post. 1. My in-laws have never expressed any interest in hosting a party for us. They're the kind of people who have zero interest in planning anything and only want to come on someone else's dime and hard work. 2. We were met with dismissive comments and excuses as to why they couldn't come, the main ones being, if you want us to have a relationship with you and your baby, it's your responsibility to set things up and you need to come our way. And it's just a party, we'll be more involved when the baby's born. 3. The harsh words from our argument were beyond harsh. They called us evil pieces of shit, complained I was manipulating my husband by making him choose between us and them, insulted my parents and said we were sabotaging their relationship with our baby. Only my mother-in-law apologized and everyone tried to sweep it under the rug and move on. 4. They have not shown an ounce of support other than a single congratulations. They haven't been interested or have made any attempts to be included, but they continue to hold expectations and demands for our pregnancy and for when our baby is born. 5. The person who made this post is very young, and she was so upset she sent her friends to text us horrible things to make us feel bad and claim that we totally cut them off, which isn't true. We were willing to keep them at a distance because what was said and their lack of support has been incredibly hurtful and difficult for us. We still wanted them to have a relationship once our baby is born. But after seeing the need for some kind of desperate validation or attention, both my husband and I are deciding to go no contact indefinitely. Update, April 30th, 2026. Honestly, I didn't think that my post would blow up the way it did, but a lot of people are asking for an update and have deemed me the asshole. Yes, my brother and sister-in-law saw this post, and they commented their side of things. They sent me a message personally and a second message in our family group chat. They have cut us out and have blocked us on everything. We are no longer welcome in their life and are not allowed to be in the baby's life. My family is devastated, but we're accepting this reality. Some things I want to clear up. Neither my mom nor my boyfriend/his girlfriend have a car and have no way of traveling. I'm currently unemployed, so dropping money for a 4-hour trip isn't feasible for me right now. That's why we weren't able to make it to the gender reveal. I'll admit that we haven't been super involved in their pregnancy, but that's just how my family is. When I said we were low effort, I meant that. That's how I was raised, and I don't know any different. But we're firm believers if our presence is wanted, then it's their responsibility to set that up. Yes, we said some very cruel things to them, and I know we can't take them back. That's something that we're all reflecting on and admit that we were wrong on. I admit that I've been caught up in my own thoughts and feelings as well as my mom's. I still don't necessarily agree with a lot, but I do see my faults and have accepted that their decisions are solely based on how we acted and how we didn't show up for them. Editor's note. Commenters say it's clear that OP missed the point completely. Her family can't be low effort and still demand being catered to. They can't reap what they didn't sow. It is incredibly selfish and laughable that your view of this is that if someone wants the honor of having a relationship with you, they need to be the ones doing all the heavy lifting so they can be graced with your presence. That's just not how it works here in reality and outside of your family. If you want to maintain a healthy relationship, both of you need to put effort in to maintain that relationship. That's just how it is. Relationships that are one-sided are oftentimes unhealthy or just even a situation where one person's being used. It's not that you need to be up their ass all the time because she wants attention. It's that you need to show the bare minimum of interest that you want to be a part of the family or want to be involved in events. It's also not unreasonable for someone who's pregnant to have to travel in order to placate your family who's unwilling to make accommodations to be there. And because of that, and because of how you guys reacted to the gender reveal party, why would they fucking want you at their baby shower? Even if you could make it, only one member of your family even bothered to actually fucking apologize. The rest of you just crossed your arms and just pretty much had the, so be it, if you want the relationship, you gotta earn it. Motherfucker, you're the one who burned the bridge. It's not their responsibility to build it. With that being said, I am now immediately reminded of the 1984 episode of G1 Transformers called Triple Takeover, where Blitzwing and the Constructicons, the construction division of the Decepticons, who would have thought, were actively trying to usurp Megatron, and Blitzwing, when asked about a partnership, responds with, I got an idea. Why don't you go build a bridge and jump off it? Peak comedy right there. Hey, some kind of important housekeeping here, and this isn't just me, this seems to be actually a ton of other YouTubers as well. It seems YouTube is actively just deciding to pull YouTubers out of the algorithm. Not just Reddit channels, but a lot of them. Minecraft YouTube channels, gaming YouTube channels, tutorial YouTube channels, well, a good chunk at least. And the only way that I can presume that any of us can fight this is by letting our audience know that YouTube is being fucking weird right now. And if there's any channel that you want to keep in your feed, not just me, make sure you're subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment, and just in general interacting with the video to make sure that they stay in your feeds. As for me, I'm gonna start putting in steps to find ways that I can further improve my content to make sure I'm providing you guys with, well, something that is enjoyable on a daily basis. So while you guys support any creator that you care about, not just me, I'll be finding ways to deliver you guys more quality content as time progresses. Now, back to your scheduled program. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Throwaway Weird Issue, posted to r/relationship advice, October 10th, 2019. Girlfriend, 24 female, wants me, 24 male, to stop hanging out with her father, and refuses to explain why. How do I figure out what's going on? So, this is a weird one, at least for me. Anne and I have been dating for a little over a year now. I met her parents when we were 2 months together or so. She always spoke very highly of them, and never mentioned any conflict that would have been the cause of the current issue. I've had some bad experiences with fathers in my past relationships, but Anne's father was a nice surprise to have. He's a very cool dude, and you can see he truly cares about his family and the happiness of every member. After I met her parents and got along with them, we would visit them, at least twice a month. Sometimes it was Anne's idea, and sometimes her parents would invite us to dinner with Anne's siblings. Once again, those were always positive experiences, and both me and Anne enjoyed it. Then, one day, her father invited me to meet him so we could get some beer. I invited Anne, but she didn't want to, so I went by myself. He talked about his life, his job, random topics, and I told him the same. I had a pretty good time, so when he invited me the next month, I went again. So this became a thing. Each month, we meet up to drink beer and talk. Anne never said anything negative about this. In fact, when I would come back, she would ask if I had fun, and we would talk a little bit about it. I was surprised 3 days ago to have her come and ask me to stop hanging out with her father. I asked if something had happened, and she said that it didn't. She just wanted me to stop. This was something new because we usually talk about everything as openly as we can manage. It was something that we made sure to establish at the beginning due to our past experiences. So, this is a very strange behavior coming from her. I tried asking her if they had argued or if he had said or done something to upset her, but she changes the subject or flat out tells me to just stop hanging out with him and move on. I don't know if I should ask her father about this, and to be honest, it's not something that I want to do. Everything is normal unless I bring up this subject. Just today, she was talking about her family planning the birthday of her sister next week, and it was like nothing was happening. I don't want to make decisions without knowing what's going on behind them, but I don't know how to get the answers without having to bring in more people into this. Anyone could give me some insight? Relevant comments. Editor's note. Commenters had 2 alternating theories. User, I'm probably from hell. Comments. I think you should respect her, but also not just let this go. The first thing that popped into my mind is that she's planning to end the relationship with you and doesn't want her dad and you to be buddies to minimize the awkwardness. But then again, that's just the first thing I thought of. Opie responds, "This possibility did not cross my head at all, mostly because our relationship is completely normal as it was before. I'll keep this in mind. Maybe I'll try asking her about our relationship instead of asking about her father." User Black and White Paint comments, "We don't know, bud. I try to respect it since it's her family, not yours. Maybe they have a feud that you don't know about, and she's not ready to talk about it. There's always more going on in family than you think you know just by looking in as an outsider. If you don't know, and have no real stakes, why not just respect what she wants? I have a father who's kind and charming and generous, and misogynistic. He loves to talk to his sons-in-law about how women suck. His daughters are okay with them all being together, but when the guys are alone together, the daughters get uncomfortable about what kind of toxic male bonding they're doing. And for good reason, I think. Not saying this is what's going on, but she, as a daughter, probably has better insight and valid reasons." Opie responds, "This is what bugs me the most. I feel like I have a pretty good idea of who they are as a family, but now I have to doubt that, and I have to worry about what's going on when I'm not there. Is it going to be a thing that will keep affecting my relationship with my girlfriend? Are we going to keep having these weird moments?" Update, October 15th, 2019, 5 days later. So, I just want to start by saying that I should probably start paying more close attention to the people around me. After I made the post, I decided the best route was to speak to Anne about our relationship and dig more into the father issue later. To my surprise, this time it didn't take long because she just burst into tears. She reassured me that everything was fine between us, but there was an issue with her parents, and I wasn't supposed to know from her, but she's very angry at her father, and this was how the issue between us came to be. Her father is having an affair, has been seeing this woman for 10 months. Anne's mother had no idea something was up until he said he was going out with me for a beer, and then later, Anne sent a picture of me and her at a party that same night. Then, he went out twice to meet up with me for a beer, which was weird. We only went out once a month. But he told her I was helping him out with an idea for a project he had for their house. Since at this point, she was suspicious, she started to check with Anne whenever he said he was going out with me. Things started to get more obvious, and Anne's father ended up coming clean a few weeks ago. They broke the news to their sons and daughters, but had a special talk with Anne, since her father had been using my name in this mess, and her mother thought it was only right for him to talk to me and apologize. Anne tried to keep quiet, but ended up lashing out, which caused the issue between us. I did have a talk with her father, and it was extremely awkward. He apologized and said he hoped we could keep being friends once everything was settled. Don't know about that, though. Anne has also apologized, but this has really taken a toll on her, so I'm not holding it against her. Thanks to everyone who replied in the first post. Even though most of you made me a little paranoid that I was going to get dumped, I still got some good insight. Well, I certainly had my theories, but father using his son-in-law as a scapegoat for his cheating was definitely not one of them. Now, I guess my question is did he start hanging out with the son-in-law to build the excuse? So that way he could do that and be like, oh, I'm just getting beers with the son-in-law, that's it, while he's going and plowing the mistress? Or was it a situation where he already was hanging out with the son-in-law and found the mistress, and suddenly is like, well, here's a perfect excuse to get away with it? Like, either way, both are fucked up. But one has kind of an extra bit of sting because it's like, oh, you only wanted to chill with me and get beers so you could have an excuse to see your mistress. And the other one is, damn, dude, that fucking sucks that you used our friendship so that way you could get away with sleeping with your mistress. Like, both suck, but I think the first one has a bit more of a sting to it because there was never actually a friendship there. It was always the excuse. Either way, though, there's definitely no forgiving the father-in-law for making you his, wingman for his mistress. That's pretty fucking yikes, dog. Part of me was actually kind of wondered it would be like an Arthur Mitchell kind of situation, like from Dexter, where on the outside, yeah, he's a perfectly loving father and the model citizen, but inside the home, oh god. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Throwaway Sister Gone, posted April 12th, 2016. My 26 female, mother, 50s female, flipped out after they found out I sent my sister's, 28 female, boyfriend, 29 male, some of her things after she passed away. Using a throwaway because my friends and cousins know my main account. I apologize if this gets too long. Background: my sister, Anne, and her boyfriend Tom have known each other since they started college, and began dating during their 3rd year. I watched them support each other through difficult times, and I saw how they encouraged each other to grow, not only as a couple, but as individuals. Basically, they were really happy and great together. Because my sister and I are best friends, I also grew close to Tom and saw him as the brother I never had. We all lived in the same city near my parents, me at home while Tom and Anne had a condo together. But Tom ended up getting a great job across the country. They decided to sell the condo and move to the new city. Tom left earlier, and Anne stayed behind to finish up a contract and help pack/move the rest of their things when she was done. Present. Before Anne moved, she suddenly passed away. Even now, I still don't know how to process her death. It took us all by surprise. And without going into much detail, I can only say that it was unexpected. Her death was a blur to everyone in our family. I think that Tom took her death the worst, though. He confided in me that he was going to propose soon after she moved. When Tom flew home after Anne's funeral, he called me and asked if I could send him some of Anne's things. He wasn't demanding or anything, and said that if it was a bother, he would understand. I thought that the things he asked for were pretty reasonable. He just wanted one of her stuffed animals. It was a matching pair, and he had the second one already. He also asked for her ring. They had purchased matching rings at a popular jewelry store, and it wasn't an heirloom or a wedding band type thing. The last thing he asked for was a scrapbook that the two of them had been working on together. Tom said that he missed her a lot, and since they were in the process of moving, he regretted not having anything at home to remind him of her. I thought the request was reasonable. Besides, these were things they purchased together. I sent them to Tom the next day, and didn't think anything of it. A few days later, I came home from work and found my mother sifting through Anne's things. She asked me if I had seen her ring, since it was missing from her vanity. I told her about Tom's request and how I sent it away. She immediately started to freak out. I've never seen my mother this mad before. She started to yell that it wasn't mine to give away, and that I had no right sending off Anne's things to other people. I got flustered and told her that even if I didn't have a right to return it to Tom, it's not like she has a right to keep it. This seemed to make her more mad, and she just kept yelling and yelling about how Anne's things belonged at home. My dad had to calm my mom down, and I left the house for a few hours. It's been 2 days since, and my mother hasn't talked to me once. I'm so confused, and I wonder if I did something out of line. Tom literally had nothing at his place of Anne's, and they're both adults, and technically, Tom bought the ring for Anne. Did I act too quickly by sending it to Tom? Too long didn't read, my sister passed away, and I sent some of her things to her boyfriend. My mother found out and freaked out. Top comments. Apple Sangria comments. His request is reasonable and more than understandable. You did nothing wrong. Perhaps you could have had a conversation with her about it beforehand, but honestly, those items should go to him. They're personal to Anne and Tom's relationship, not your mother and Anne's relationship. If you'd had this conversation before you mailed the items, she probably still would have been upset and refused. Your mom is grieving, and that doesn't always translate to rational behavior or thought processes, especially if the loss is relatively recent. She will get over this, and in time, she'll see the situation more clearly. She's not upset that you mailed the items without asking, she's upset because her child died, and she sees those items as her last connection to Anne. I'm sorry for your loss. Update, April 17th, 2016, 5 days later. I wanted to say thank you to everyone who replied and sent me messages. I didn't get a chance to reply to everyone, but I definitely read every response. Anyways, after my mom's initial freakout, I tried so hard to stay home and work it out. I knew in my heart that she was only grieving, but even then, I couldn't take it anymore. Part of me felt like she was so selfish. She lost her daughter, but so did my father. I lost my sister, and Tom lost the woman he was supposed to spend the rest of his life with. My mother continued to be passive-aggressive, to the point where I felt she was just cruel. For example, I was in the kitchen talking to my dad about whether or not we should unpack Anne's boxes. My mother turned to my father and said, "You ought to keep an eye on OP in case she tries to pawn off more of Anne's things." As much as I loved my mother, I needed to take care of myself first. I ended up packing up a few things and stayed at a friend's house to cool off a little bit. Before I left, my father and I agreed that we should get the family into counseling, and he said he would talk to my mother while I was away. A few days passed, and my mother ended up calling me. I could tell that she had been crying, and she ended up apologizing. She admitted that it was irrational to try to keep all of Anne's things, and that Tom had every right to Anne's mementos, especially since it was so personal to their relationship. She said that after I left, she realized that she was pushing away everyone around her, and that she didn't want to lose me too. I asked her why she was so fixated on the ring, and she said that since she saw Anne wear it every day, she wanted to wear it as a reminder of Anne. She said she felt kind of stupid though, since it was a romantic gesture from Tom, and she really wasn't thinking clearly. My family has our first counseling appointment next week, and I'm hoping that it'll help us a lot. I also decided to take my mom to the store Anne's ring is from to get her own matching rings. It'll be a different style, but we're thinking of engraving Anne's name or birthday inside the band. I totally get that everyone is hurting from Anne's death, and my mother is normally a very rational and loving woman. I've decided to move forward from this and forgive her. I've also been keeping in contact with Tom and trying my best to support him. I believe that he's also looking into getting some counseling as well. Thanks again to everyone who offered their love and support. Oh, and for the few people who messaged me accusing my mother of trying to sell Anne's ring, I'm not so sorry to report that my family might be a little crazy, but we're not that dramatic. Too long didn't read. Mother apologized, family has counseling appointment, and we're looking to move forward together. Comment from Archangel LBC. Okay, so everyone who talks about how family is supposed to forgive each other and not hold grudges, this is what those sentiments are for. Not siblings having affairs with your significant other or parents taking out credit cards in their kids' names. Mom was acting out of pocket because she was consumed by her grief. She recognized what she was doing, acknowledged she was in the wrong, and apologized. I feel really bad for everyone involved here. I hope therapy was helpful for them. User Prancing Red Pony responds, and their tagline is, "Along with being a bitch over this, I'm also a cat." This is so true. This is one of the few real forgive and forget situations because there was an honest reason behind the actions that also was out of control for one of the concerned parties. Fresh grief is so hard to deal with, and grieving people are not rational. I'm glad they worked it out. I felt that comment was good to include because it does kind of cover all the basis of the mom's grieving. She's got a lot on her mind. She's not being rational. But also, it has a nice little insert there of like, when people say that family is supposed to be forgiving and, oh, it should be water under the bridge and stuff like that, these are instances where that 100% applies. And it really does come across that a lot of people now use that saying as a way to get away with their bad behavior of, oh, come on, I only inverted your knees with an aluminum bat. Family's supposed to forgive each other. It was a mistake. This one's actually an old one that we covered back in January, but has a new update for it. So for those of you who may have missed it, we have the entire clip, minus the tangent, ready for you. And for those of you who have seen it, we'll have a timestamp, so you can jump to the new update. This post was collected by Madison Brave. They don't have a tagline yet. The original OP is The Exit in Gone, posted to r/relationships December 8th, 2024. My, female 19, dad asked our godparents not to have the waiters sing happy birthday to my brother, male 11, who likely has hyperacusis autism, but they did it anyway. My family is close with a couple from church who we referred to as our godparents, in their 60s, growing up since my preteen days. They're in their late 60s, and they've also counseled my parents on many things through the years. Finances, big purchases, biblical advice. They're also church leaders, and they've celebrated almost all of our milestones with us, to the point that they're basically family. However, they struggle with boundaries, and I've lost respect for my parents who continue to give them a pass in this specific area pertaining to my post. My brother is autistic and very shy, and he always asks us not to have the waiters sing happy birthday when we go out for dinner. Our godparents have a prank they like to do to embarrass people, and that's having the waiters sing happy birthday, even when it's not someone's birthday, for free cake every time we go to a restaurant. Before I continue, I want to point out that both my parents and godparents are church leaders, and church leaders, at least in our church, always go to a restaurant following Sunday service to mingle further. My godparents pull the prank on a random leader each Sunday, to the point that it became an inside joke in the group, like, who's it gonna be today? But they did it to my brother years ago, on the Sunday of his birthday week. He literally cried from the attention of the nearby tables as they sang to him. My dad asked them not to do it to him anymore after that, and they listened for a few years until this weekend. My dad reminded them not to do it this year when we went to eat with leaders on the week of his birthday, and they agreed beforehand. But they later changed their mind and did it anyway, and said he was overreacting when he retreated to the bathroom for some time afterward. I told my dad that we shouldn't go out with them anymore, but he disagreed because he considers them family, even though it's the second time now, and we rarely celebrate anything without them. Is there anything I can say to get through to him? Because I don't know at this point. And they won't let my brother stay home after he asked following Saturday in regards to future restaurant trips with them. What should we do? Update post, June 11th, 2025. It's been some time since my first post, but I've since reflected on something that caused many misunderstandings in our family for years thanks to a therapist at my college, and the restaurant incident being the last in a string of misunderstandings. I didn't go to the therapist for myself, but rather my brother, and a condition we couldn't name. My parents knew he had some sort of autism growing up, but they weren't sure what this other thing was. I'll describe it in a moment, as I did for my therapist, who was able to provide much clarity. But this condition played a role in why my brother didn't like being sung happy birthday at the restaurant, along with other similar instances in the past. I'll also refer to / link a website that'll help me better explain his potential condition too, followed by a link to the Cleveland Clinic on hyperacusis. My therapist believes my brother has a condition called sound sensitivity autism, or hyperacusis, that makes everyday sounds feel uncomfortably loud, and sometimes painful. It can cause anxiety from dreading / anticipating unpredictable loud sounds, sometimes depression or social isolation. My therapist came to this conclusion after hearing some things I told her about my brother, some dating back many years. We once went to a football game, and he hid in the concessions area with his headphones blasting because the inside seats were too loud. He's also hid in the bathroom at church when certain services were too loud / raucous. He doesn't like concerts and visibly shakes whenever a crowd gets loud, and he'll often wear headphones at home because the TV, especially live audience events, often triggers / overloads his senses. There are many more examples, but my parents have trouble understanding him, and have blamed him for not wanting to do family activities when he actually does, just not the ones that trigger him. Our family loves sports, and he does too. He watches them with headphones on that's playing music, but doesn't watch with friends due to fear of being perceived as weird. The worst times were when he was forced to do activities he didn't want to. He once had anxiety before a piano recital, not because he was nervous about playing, but because of every time applause would ring out during the event or any live event. That, in and of itself, caused anxiety. He enjoys playing piano, but not the performing part of it. He said it's like constantly living on edge because you never know when a loud sound will ring out. However, there was something my therapist told me on a subsequent visit that gave me hope, and it was an article she found from last year. There's an NBA player named Joe Ingles, whose son had a similar condition, but he was younger, 8, unlike my 11-year-old brother. Like my brother, he also didn't like loud environments and didn't attend his father's games as a result. However, last year, he had a breakthrough, thanks to the medical professionals he saw, and his mother made plans for him to attend his father's game for the first time. Joe was no longer a starter at this point in his career. He came off the bench. But the Timberwolves coach told the team that he was going to put Joe in the starting lineup for the game his son was attending, and the story was covered by media outlets, followed by a link to the story. I brought that story, along with the webpage I referenced/linked above, to my parents to try and explain my brother's condition we never understood. And while they were receptive to it, they didn't feel that it was necessary to bring him to a doctor/therapist because they believe they can give him exposure tests on their own. That'll lead to a similar breakthrough. But I disagree. Joe's son made a breakthrough thanks to guidance from medical professionals, not his parents trying to cure it on their own. But no matter how hard I pushed, they refused to take him to a professional and instead chose to reach out for support/prayer from church. I can't express how upset that made me, and I couldn't bring him myself because I'm not his parent. I hate how they think they can easily replicate the breakthrough Joe's son had without professional help. I told my therapist, and she agrees it's unfortunate, because it's better to address it as young as you can. Regarding the incident at the restaurant, my brother had a sensory overload when the waiters sang and the other tables were looking at ours. This is the second time our godparents have done this to him. He was 8 the first time they did, and he started crying when they sang. We didn't know what hyperacusis was at the time, but my parents told our godparents not to do it again when his birthday approached in the subsequent years. And they listened until he turned 11 this year. My parents reminded them not to do it this year too, and they agreed before breaking their promise. I tried explaining the unofficial diagnosis from my therapist to my godparents to make them understand, but they were even worse than my parents and said he needs to stop acting like a girl. Regarding their fake birthday, reoccurring prank that leaders come to expect every Sunday they go to a restaurant after church, like whose it's gonna be today, lol. I told my parents it's wrong because it's stealing and taking advantage of the restaurant's free cake when it's not someone's birthday. But Dad said it's justified when the total is often over $100 and that cake can't be more than like $3. I called him out for how the Bible says that all sin is equal, regardless of big or small, and he didn't like when I did. But back to my brother. They aren't budging in their opinion of not seeking a medical professional, and I hate when people use religion and arrogance to think of themselves as above doctors and such. New update, January 2nd, 2026. A couple weeks ago. A few people reached out to ask if I ever considered telling the head pastor about the leaders stealing at the restaurant. Unfortunately, the head pastor and his wife are complicit in the inside joke. I should also clarify that while there's one restaurant that we attend, most often for the happy birthday prank, the group occasionally rotates to a Chinese buffet that doesn't do happy birthday songs because it's a buffet. So when we go there, it's a break for that week. I've argued with my parents a lot since my previous post about many things. I've called out the group stealing many times, but my dad said it's justified, because the group is usually anywhere between 10 to 15 people, when others bring their kids straight from church. So while one person is getting free cake from the birthday prank, 14 other people are paying for their own dessert, and the bill is usually a few $100s. And given how often we visit there each year, the restaurant likely makes a few $1,000s from us each year. Dad literally admitted they were sinning because he admitted that the good $200 plus bill outweighs the bad $3 stolen cake. Literally contradicting how the Bible says that all sin is equal, big or small. Furthermore, Dad admitted that he thinks Jesus is stupid because he thinks he can pull that over him. And if God is stupid, then he can't be all-powerful. And if he isn't all-powerful, then why the hell are we going to church unless it's only for the social aspect and street credit of being a Christian when it's convenient? Regarding my brother's sensory challenges, I tried to convince them to seek medical assistance while he's still young. But they've grown tired of me bringing it up and told me not to anymore. They also said they don't want him to be diagnosed because they don't need someone telling him that there's something officially wrong with you, when God says you're fearfully and woefully made. But I disagree. According to my university therapist, a diagnosis can help him receive accommodations at future jobs if need be. Plus, the sooner he receives medical attention, the better chance he has of making progress. Continuing to ignore it will make the symptoms worse. But my parents have made their decision. My therapist said the next best thing would be trying to accommodate him by not forcing him to attend concerts and sporting events, since they won't let him see doctors that could provide healthy coping mechanisms. Another was simply dropping him off at home before my parents go to the restaurant, where church leaders are loud/obnoxious and often walking around to other people's seats. However, my parents refused because other leaders bring their kids directly from church, and they don't want to get there late. They also said that he'll improve with more exposure, and I couldn't disagree more without medical attention. As for where things stand now, I decided to make a report to CPS as a result of some things my brother told me. First, he said he wants to receive treatment, but our parents are obviously against it. He said he feels anxious 24/7 and wishes he wouldn't wake up on some days when a loud event draws close, like a concert or sporting event he's forced to attend. Church as well, which is loud. During the drive to such events, he'll close his eyes and hope they never arrive because time seems to go slowly, with his eyes closed. He also hates when he gets overstimulated and our parents limit the amount of times they'll let him go to the bathroom. It's also affecting his friends who don't understand why he doesn't want to do certain activities, and he doesn't want to say why, while wishing he had treatment. There were other thoughts he didn't feel comfortable disclosing, but I made the report due to feeling worried he might have some dangerous thoughts. He literally said it's like living on edge 24/7 because a loud sound can happen at any moment, and his tolerance has worsened with time, to even quieter sounds overstimulating him. It's been over a month, and I haven't heard anything from CPS, and since there's no physical harm involved, I'm not sure anything will come from it. I've permanently lost all respect for my parents and their lack of caring regarding this matter, and I've already decided that they'll never meet my kids, or even know they exist in a perfect world. Anyone I date in the future who disagrees won't be considered, because I consider this a deal breaker, and I'm not changing my stance. The only reason I haven't fully told them off is because I'll likely be cut off if I do, and then my brother would have no one in his corner. New update, April 30th, 2026. 4 months later. So much has happened since my last post, but I received many insightful DMs that mentioned a product specifically designed to help those with sensory challenges. And that was loop earplugs. They have different options for various activities and are easier to hide than noise-canceling headphones. I had no issue buying noise-canceling headphones, as many people suggested them too, but my parents didn't want him wearing them in the past because they said it wouldn't help him grow out of it. They think exposure will help him achieve similar results to Joe Ingles' son without getting medical professionals involved. But they're only making it worse. I purchased my brother a pair of transparent loop earplugs and plan to purchase more, as they have different options for different environments based on loudness. One for concerts and less loud environments too. However, my parents somehow found out, which resulted in me getting a lot of crap. I'm not exactly sure how they found out, and my brother said he did his best to hide them, but they have a habit of going through our rooms when we're not there for whatever reason. And they've done that since I was young. That's my best guess, but who knows. They confiscated them and got on me for purchasing them behind their back. We got into a pretty heated argument about it, but they said I was preventing him from growing, when in actuality, the earplugs help with improving tolerance. The earplugs supposedly have different levels of decibels/sounds they allow in, more for concerts, less for a library, and over time, you find yourself needing lesser decibel blocking earplugs as your body adapts to noise gradually. I read one testimony from parents of a young girl who said she struggled with piano recitals, not because of stage fright, but because of anxiety, due to the applause afterward. So, the earplugs allowed her to still hear the piano while blocking some of the decibels during applause. And she now has recitals where she no longer wears them because her body has gradually adapted. That could be my brother, but my parents disagree. I even tried the angle of how the earplugs could help him without going to a doctor, but that didn't work either. I was pretty pissed as a result of the argument. Granted, the earplugs were only around $50, but I bought them to help, and they just took them. So, I decided to send an email essay to a few relatives explaining everything similar to my post. And some of them had no idea about his condition and wouldn't because they live out of state. I even spoke to some over the phone, and some even called my parents about it too. I even went down to the restaurant our church leaders frequent and asked to speak to one of the managers too. I told him about the prank and my brother's condition, which causes anxiety. The manager said he assumes some will lie about their birthdays to get free cake, but that the restaurant doesn't ask for ID. However, he said he talked to the managers to see if they can avoid singing to my brother if I called ahead on days they're attending. He also said he'd escalate how our table was lying to get free cake, but he wasn't sure if anything could be done when the restaurant didn't ask for IDs. However, he said he'd escalate it, and I gave my callback number. Unfortunately, the group has been back to the restaurant numerous times since, and they've gotten away with the prank. I called once I learned that they were going before they arrived, but it hasn't amounted to anything yet, and I'm still hoping to receive a callback from our conversation. The main issue isn't singing to him on his birthday week, it's how he feels anxious every time they go there, and tries to time a bathroom visit to when he sees waiters gathering to sing. He tries to slip out as soon as he notices, and he's always looking around while on edge. It ruins his mood when he's unable to slip out because he gets overloaded from how loud the waiters get, even when they sing to other tables. Our table is also loud in general, with lots of standing up and walking behind other people's seats to talk, which is inconsiderate to the person sitting behind them. And that's not considering the lack of etiquette to refrain from talking politics at a meal when discussing their orange deity. Our table is loud in general, and my parents won't let him stay home because they think the exposure will help him. My parents are also pissed that I vented to extended family about personal things that should have stayed in the family. And they said this in another argument after they were called by numerous relatives regarding my email. I've since spoken to some of the relatives who called them, and the general consensus was that they were defensive. But with that, on top of the earplugs I purchased, they told me that I was being ungrateful for being allowed to stay home rent-free while attending community college. They also said they weren't gonna have someone living with them just to spill personal business. So they're no longer gonna help me with tuition and want me to move out after the current semester ends. We have not paid for the fall semester yet, and they want me to be moved out by July. That was the purpose of the second conversation we had. And they told me to be grateful that they didn't kick me out mid-semester. I've had a few relatives offer to let me stay, and I'm likely going to take them up on it. It sucks I won't be able to be home to help my brother escape from certain environments, but some of my relatives also want to help my brother. We haven't figured everything out yet, and it doesn't seem likely that CPS will get involved when there's no visible physical abuse. My parents also booked numerous Christian concerts throughout the year, and they're forcing my brother to go. I'm worried about how my brother said he hopes he doesn't wake up on certain mornings while counting down the days until a loud event happens at the restaurant, or especially concerts. And it's like he's always on edge. I'm scared about what he could do if the anxiety ever gets too bad when I'm not home to be there for him. And I've been able to help him take extra bathroom breaks when our parents try to limit him. It's also been hard to focus on studies, and if I'm being honest, I have no intention of going back for the fall semester. I want to work full-time to be able to help down the road, and a few members of our extended family want to help him too. Granted, it feels like there isn't much CPS can do when there's no visible physical abuse that CPS will care about, and it's been almost 6 months with nothing from CPS. I've talked to relatives about making their own calls to CPS, and some have been open to doing so. I don't think anything will come from it because so many people seem to have never heard of sound sensitivity autism before, so I doubt that CPS even cares. My next move will be to go to my brother's school with the backing of a relative who suggested it in hopes of getting my brother some help. But I'm worried the school's help may be limited if my parents don't sign off. I hope that's not the case, but I'm honestly not sure. The relative who suggested it will go to the school with me, and we've mentioned it to other relatives too, who also think that's a good idea. We're just trying to get our ducks in a row before doing that to make sure we're organized. I really hope that when they end up in hell, that their torture will be equally poetic to what they've done to their child. That's really all I have to say. I hope that whoever God you pray to punishes you justly. OP, you've got a good heart. Do your best to continue taking care of your brother because god damn, is he going to need as much support as you've been giving him. Good luck. Hey, welcome to the outro. That little spiel in the intro part is definitely something that I think more people need to be aware of, is that YouTube is actively pulling creators out of the algorithm, not just me. So any creator that you like and want to maintain having their content in your feed, Make sure you're liking and subscribing and turning notifications on if you want that, and also leaving a comment when you can. No one really knows why YouTube's algorithm is doing what it's doing right now, because it seems to be pulling a lot of people, including YouTube's old guard, out. At first, I thought it was pulling me out because it'd be really easy to mistake my channel for being an AI channel, and that's entirely understandable. But seeing multi-million subscriber YouTube channels also bringing up the fact that they're being pulled out of the algorithm is interesting, and it goes to show that it's not just me, it seems to actually be a lot of people. So I'm not just asking you to comment, like, and subscribe to me to make me do better, I'm asking you to just do that in general to creators you care about. With that being said, don't forget, code Oz with gamer subs, and I hope to catch you all next time.